Well, morning, ladies and gentlemen, and so nice to have you with us on our Zoom presentation of the national parks of Alaska. Without a doubt, this is the most incredible tour that I've ever done in Alaska, and I've only been to Alaska probably 275, 280 times. But this is the most remarkable tour. If you want to see all of Alaska, you will do so on this tour. I not only say that it's the best tour we run, but I think it's the best tour that anybody in the world runs of Alaska. Nobody even comes close to it. When people talk, excuse me, when people talk about the national parks in Alaska, they think, oh, Alaska's got two national parks. It's Denali and maybe Kenai Fjords National Park. What they don't understand is that there's 8 national parks in the state of Alaska, and that ties us with the. Let me just get this thing straightened out here. That ties us with the state of California. I'm having issues right here, but hopefully there. That ties us with the state of California. So we have basically 8 national parks in the state of Alaska, and we're going to see 6 of the 8. And we've had many people last year. In matter of fact, we had 8 people that did all 8 national parks. So today we're going to talk about Katmai National Park, Wrangell St. Elias National Park, Gates of the Arctic National Park, Kenai Fjords National Park, Glacier Bay National Park, Lake Clark National Park, Kobuk Valley National Park, and of course, Denali National Park. The largest national park in the entire national park system of the U.S. is actually the Wrangell St. Elias National Park. And you're going to actually spend 2 nights out there in that park. It's absolutely wonderful. So when we talk about the national parks, you are going to visit Katmai, which is down here. That's where Brooks Falls is, home of the coastal brown bears. Lake Clark National Park, Kenai Fjords National Park, 2 nights in the Wrangell St. Elias National Park, 2 nights in Denali National Park, a day in Gates of the Arctic National Park, and then you're going to go up to Barrow, former Barrow, which is now in Nupiaq. So we're going to visit all of those areas. The only one we will not visit is Kobuk Valley and Glacier Bay, which a lot of people have already done Glacier Bay. So if you have a national park passport, we're going to get a lot of stamps in there. So what makes us different than any other tour company that goes to Alaska? Most people, and I'm going to say probably 95% of the visitors that go to Alaska do it by cruise ship. And the Alaska cruise is nice, but they only see basically that much of Alaska. What you're going to see on this trip is all the way from the top of the world down to Katmai National Park and over to Wrangell St. Elias National Park. So basically, we're going to see the whole interior of Alaska. People want to know how big Alaska is. It's 590,000 square miles. And if we were to put this, this would be the Michigan-Canadian border at Yukiavik or Barrow. If we came down to Ketchikan, that would be Jacksonville, Florida. And then if we went east to west, this would be Jacksonville, Florida. Out at the end of the Alaska Peninsula would be Oakland, California. So that's a lot of driving to go across the U.S. But I made my first trip up to Alaska in 1955, rode with my dad in his 1947 Cadillac, and we followed our egg truck up to Fairbanks. 1,422 miles of rock and gravel roads. But I had such an incredible time. I was 12 years old at the time. And I bought my first motor coach or bus, if you would. If you say the word bus, it costs you 25 cents. But I bought my first coach in 1982. And in 1983, I made my first trip up to Alaska. And I wanted my children to have the same experience I did. So I took John, my oldest son, when he was 8 years old. I took Joseph, my middle child, when he was 8 years old. But Elizabeth's mother thinks she's special. So she got to go when she was 6 years old. So by the time they'd all graduated from high school, they'd probably been to Alaska a dozen times. But when we talk about Alaska, people want to experience basically three major expectations. Number one is to see glaciers. Number two is to see mountains and scenery. And the state of Alaska has 14 major mountain ranges in the state. So you're going to see a good share of those. Wildlife is another high expectation, and you're going to see a lot of wildlife. But one of things that makes us different is we do small groups. And when I say small groups, for example, the National Park Tour, I believe we limit to 26 people. Our Grand Slam, for example, which is we have departures every week, those are limited to 40 people or 20 couples. So you're going to be with the same people, the same motor coach, with that small group. And that enables us to get us into the best restaurants, the best hotels, the best attractions, without having what I call the Disney effect, which means wait in line for 2 hours. That isn't going to happen with us. Also, on our winter trip, we furnished these incredible jackets, like on the Iditarod and the Winter Wonder trip. They are rated for 35 below zero, and we furnish those for you. They're yours to keep. The outer layer is for when it's really get cold. They have a great inner layer, a zip out. This you can see there's kind of a black long sleeve vest. Very warm without the outer layer on. But that's for the winter trips. You're not going to need those in the summer. But when you're traveling across Alaska, you are going to be in the most comfortable motor coaches on the market. We have a new one being delivered. Actually, I think it's in Janesville, Wisconsin, getting the decals put on today. But all of our coaches are top of the state of the art. So most of the coaches in Alaska carry between 56 and 60 people. That means there's roughly about 12 inches between the front of that seat and the back of that seat. With us, there's 19 inches. So it's like being on the airlines in first class legroom. So there's only 42 seats in this coach rather than 56 or 60. So you got plenty of room. There's all restroom equipped. And we also have custom galleys in the coaches. And they have Keurig coffee makers. So you have coffee, decaf, spice cider, hot chocolate, and tea. Just anytime, just go back and help yourself. Same thing is true. We have bottled, refrigerated bottled ice water, which is directly below. Just go back and help yourself anytime. So while you're traveling across Alaska, you're going to do it in comfort. All of your meals are included, and you are going to have Alaska food, not fast food. And I've never seen a thin Alaskan, and that's because they eat well. So you're going to have fresh salmon, fresh halibut, reindeer sausage, sourdough pancakes, sourdough bread, and the desserts with the fresh berries are incredible. You're also going to have a beverage, an adult beverage every night with dinner. So if you want a glass of or a bottle of Alaska Amber, if you want a glass of Cabernet or Rosé or whatever you drink, or a Manhattan, that comes with your dinner. The first one is on us. The third, fourth one, that's on yours, on your own. But when you start this tour, you will fly into Anchorage, and you're going to stay at a downtown property that's called the Captain Cook Hotel. It is probably the premier hotel in Alaska. Understand there's no five-star hotels in the state of Alaska. They have five-star and six-star pricing, but only four-star, 3 and 4 stars hotel are common. So people go to Alaska and they anticipate the same hotels that are going to be in Honolulu. Ain't going to happen. But you're going to have some great hotels that we use. So anyway, this hotel will be your first night hotel. We'll have a welcome breakfast up on top, up in the crow's nest that overlooks all of Cook Inlet. It overlooks the Chugach Mountains and also, of course, downtown Anchorage. Everything is within walking distance of the Captain Cook. So it's very, very convenient for you. The rooms are really nice. If you request a king size bed, they'll have a living room and a bedroom. If you request 2 queen beds, they have just the bedroom. They don't have the living room. So we have the basic suites if you have a king size accommodation. But the hotel is all really tastefully decorated with just some incredible paintings. They have a workout room, they have a pool, they have 2 dining rooms, and the crow's nest up on top. But the first day out, we're going to fly over to either Lake Clark or Katmai. So what we do is we divide the group in half. So let's say 14 people will go to Katmai, 14 people will go to Lake Clark. And I know that doesn't mean a lot to you, but I'll try to show you on the map. So you're going to fly in to Anchorage and overnight. The first group will go down to Katmai National Park, which is here. The other group will go over to Lake Clark National Park. The next day you will rotate. The people at Lake Clark will go down to Katmai. The people at Katmai will go up here. So that's your planned schedule for the next 2 days. So these are the people that flew into Lake Clark. So we'll land, and then we'll take you over to the visitor center where you can get your passport stamped. Also, we'll do a group photo out in front of the Lake Clark National Park sign, and then there's a nice waterfall if you care to walk out to that, and then we'll regather at the main lodge. We'll have a kind of a catered box lunch, have lunch, and then the afternoon we will fly back through Lake Clark Pass and into Anchorage. The next day you will fly over to Brooks Falls, and this is probably one of the highlights of the trip. It's probably one of the greatest wildlife viewing experiences in Alaska. And if you have a pen handy, there's a website that I would like you to visit, and it's called explore.org. And you go into that, and then there will be several choices like Yellowstone. What you want to do is look for Brooks Falls or Katmai National Park. Go into that website, and there will be cameras. One of them is facing down on the falls right here with the bears feeding on it. The other one faces downriver, and then the third one is a camera underwater that shows all the thousands of salmon that are spawning. Now, we only do this tour in July because July is the only month when all those salmon are spawning. All 5 species of salmon in Alaska spawn in July. So that's why the bears are out there. If you go in June, chances are you probably won't see any bears. There might be a couple there, but July is by far the best time. So you're going to get some incredible photos when you're standing on the platform and watching these bears feed on the fresh salmon. So this is actually the platform that you'll be at and watch the bears. When you go onto that website, there's blogs written that a lot of people follow this on an hourly basis, and they have names for the bears. This particular bear over here, and he is always in the same spot, always. He has been there for 27 years. His name is Otis, and he's kind of the alpha bear of the group. Another big bear that you'll see is 747 is his name, and he's probably the biggest bear out there. But when you read that blog, you'll really become acquainted with Brooks Falls and Catman. But it's really neat to see those bears catching this salmon, and they don't eat the head and they don't eat the tail. They just eat the interior, and then they leave the rest for the seagulls, and they're right there watching you. So then we'll fly back to Anchorage. The next morning, we're going to go out the Glen Highway, and that is one of the scenic drives of Alaska. And you are going to surpass many of these valley glaciers. This is Matanuska Glacier, the largest valley glacier in Alaska. And then we're going to proceed over to Glen Ellen. And Glen Ellen, we're going to catch aircraft, and we're going to fly right into the heart of the Wrangell St. Elias National Park. We'll spend 2 nights at this beautiful park. So we're going to come out from Anchorage. This is the Glen Highway right across here. Glen Ellen is where we will catch our aircraft, and we're going to fly right into the heart of the Wrangell St. Elias to this little village called McCarthy. And we're going to spend 2 nights there. The flight in is one of the most beautiful flights that I have ever taken across Alaska. The glaciers that you're going to see are just incredible. And then we'll land in McCarthy. We'll take a shuttle from there over to the Kennecott Glacier Lodge, which will be our home for the next 2 nights. Kennecott Glacier Lodge is really kind of cool. It overlooks all of this is actually all glaciated area right here, and then the mountains are over here. Wrangell St. Elias Mountains has the second highest peak in North America, next to Denali. But this is the old copper mine, and it's kind of interesting the history of this. During the early 1900s, 1903, for example, the prospectors were out looking for gold. And they came across Bonanza Mountain, and they saw this big shiny spot up in the hill. And they thought, oh, we've hit the mother lode. Well, it wasn't gold. It turned out to be copper. So they staked the claim for it, but they didn't. Trying to get copper out of the middle of nowhere was almost an impossible feat. Number one, the weight of the copper. Number two, how are you going to get it out? If you use horses, it'd take you 100 years. So they put this copper stake up for sale, and a bunch of investors from the East Coast purchased it. And one of the lead investors on that was J.P. Morgan. I think we've all heard of him. He made millions and millions of dollars off of this project. So the first thing they had to do was build a railroad. And they built it from McCarthy down to Cordova, 118 miles through the mountains, across the rivers. I mean, that was a feat in itself. It took them about 8 years to build the railroad. And then while they were doing that, they were constructing the mine itself. So there's a lot of history there that you'll become aware of. So after the first night there, we'll have breakfast the next morning. Then we're going to have a private tour of the Kennecott mines. And we're going to have a hard hat tour to go through it, see how they took these big chunks of copper out, how they crushed them, how they washed them, and then loaded them in the rail cars. So you're going to have a hands-on experience of that. We'll do a group photo outside the copper mines, and these are the bunkhouses. This is an unrestored bunkhouse. National Park Service has restored this one. This is the old hospital and infirmary, and then the mine itself is right over here. Then the downtown section, the post office, the grocery stores, we're all right down here that you'll explore as well. So this is what the mine looked like during its heyday of operation. It operated from roughly 1910 till 1939. employed approximately 2,600 people that moved into the middle of nowhere. Kind of interesting to see how that operated happened. So Kennecott, during the mining operation, had 3 strict rules. You could have no whiskey, no liquor. You could have no gambling, and you could have no women. However, if people walked 2 miles over to McCarthy, they had all of the above. Lots of whiskey, lots of women, lots of gambling. So that put McCarthy on the map. And then, unfortunately, when the mine closed in 1939, everybody moved out. So McCarthy has become the largest ghost town in the state of Alaska. But it's kind of fun to go visit it. Another option after lunch would be to walk out on Root Glacier. Now, people say, why would I want to walk on a glacier in Alaska? Because you can. And actually, if you look at this gentleman, he has shorts and a t-shirt on. This gentleman has shorts and a t-shirt on. It's probably 75 degrees out, but the sun in Alaska is so strong. Plus, you're getting all the sun reflecting off the ice. So you could do this as an option in the afternoon, or you can take a shuttle bus over to McCarthy. It goes right from the visitor center at Kennecott right over to this village of McCarthy. So after 2 days, we'll fly back out, and we're going to have lunch at this 1900 Roadhouse. It's in Gakona, and it is really unique. Then we'll head north up to Fairbanks, and we're going to stop at the Alaska Pipeline. We're going to see the Alaska Pipeline, how it's built, how it, anytime it's above ground, there's permafrost. So we're going to explore all that. Then we'll get into Fairbanks. We're going to overnight 2 nights at the Bear Lodge in Fairbanks. The next morning, we will go over to Trailbreaker Kennels, have dinner, and see all Susan Butcher's. Susan and Dave own Trailbreaker Kennels. Susan was a 4-time Iditarod winner. Unfortunately, we lost Susan to lymphomic cancer in 2006. But they have 2 daughters, Tekla and Chuchi, that you can get to know, because we're going to have lunch with them, and they'll probably be doing the show for us. This is in preparation of the Iditarod. Somebody from our audience is going to be brought up on stage and dress up in those nice warm clothing that they have to wear when it's 55 below zero. Then we're going to go out with the puppies, and you're going to get a chance to hold the puppies. And one of the greatest experiences, what we call the emotional connection. So when that puppy licks your face, that's something you're going to remember all the way back home on your flight back home. If you do an Alaskan cruise, for example, you're going to a show tonight, a musical show, you're going to forget what that is the next day. With these puppies, you'll never forget them. I have to share a story with you that I think you might find humorous. When I took John, my son, up the first time, we went to Tok, overnighted in Tok, and I took the group over to a place called Burnt Paw. And Burnt Paw had dog sleds, and they had puppies there. Well, John, this is my grandson, Emerson, that was up a couple years ago. John did exactly what Emerson is doing. He picked up that puppy and he hugged him and he fell in love with him. And he said, "Dad, can I have this puppy?" And I said, "If you convince your mother you can have a puppy, I will get you that puppy." Now, his mother will not even allow a goldfish in the house. That's how anti-animal she is. So we went back to the hotel, and we didn't have cell phones in those days. That was 83. So he called his mother from the hotel room phone, and I could hear her screaming across the room. And he begged and pleaded and cried and whimpered. He should have had an Academy Award for that performance. Finally, she says, "Let me talk to your dad." So I figured, well, I'm going to really catch it now. So I get on the phone. Yes, 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 yes. So she reluctantly agreed. So I had to buy the dog. I had to take the dog to the veterinarian and have it vaccinated for travel. I had to buy the shipping container. I had to pay for air freight from Anchorage to Minneapolis on Northwest Airlines. That was the cheap part. So when I got home, I had to build a porch all the way across the front of the house. So that puppy that Emerson's holding right there cost me about $25,000. So that's a great story, and I'll never forget it. Neither will John. Anyway, so then we're going to fly up to the gates of the Arctic and up to Reykjavik, which used to be Barrow. So we'll board an aircraft and we're headed right straight north. So from Fairbanks, we will fly up to Anaktuvik, this is the gates of the Arctic National Park. So we'll go into Anaktuvik, spend a few hours here, and then we're going to go up to Barrow or Reykjavik. That is the northernmost point of the North American continent. So that'll be our activities for that day. So we'll land in Anaktuvik, and we're going to see how the Inupiaq natives live. So we'll go up to the visitor center. You will have a chance to get your passport stamped, and then you're going to kind of learn how the natives live off the land. And then we'll continue our flight up to top of the world, or Reykjavik. We'll go kind of tour through town, and then we're going to go out to the Arctic Ocean. We'll do a group photo. These are actually jaw bones of a bowhead whale. Bowhead whales are kind of one of the staples of the native community. All of our people last year got a chance to taste bowhead whale. It's called muktuk. And I tasted it 30 years ago when I first went up to Barrow. And I can still taste it. And so can the 30 people who were with us 2 years ago. But it's a great experience to go up and get your photo taken here. Also, we'll go into the Inupiaq Heritage Center, and that's all about lifestyle of the natives. And for example, the bowhead whale, they're allowed to take 3 per community per year. And they weigh over 100 tons, and they're about 110 to 120 feet in length. When they bring one in, they divide all that up between all the community. So everybody gets their share of whale meat. So then while we're at the top of the world on the Arctic Ocean, people want to take their shoes and socks off and go wading in the ocean, just to say they did that. We always have those few people. Now, those are icebergs, right? Those were icebergs that you see in that water. So that water is roughly 38 degrees. It's cold, but at least they could say they did it. So as I say, then we'll kind of go around town showing you how the natives live off the land, how they hunt, how they fish, etc. Then we'll come back into Fairbanks overnight. The next day, we're going to take the Alaska Railroad, and we're going to take that from Fairbanks down to Denali National Park. So this is all of the Denali. That's about a 4.5-hour trip on the Gold Star car. And the Gold Star car is the most luxurious car on the railroad. So the Alaska Railroad pulls all the cars, Princess Cruises, Holland America Cruises, Celebrity Cruises, and then they have all the Alaska Railroad cars as well. But you are going to be in the first car behind the engine and baggage car. This is called Gold Star car. So all of your seating will be in the upper dome car. It's the only rail car in Alaska that has an open outdoor vestibule so you can go up and take photos, etc. The downstairs section is your private dining car. So if we're going from Fairbanks down to Denali, we'll actually have breakfast on the train, getting into Denali about 12:30. Then we'll have lunch in Denali. But you have all private reserved seats here. So let's say you're in 13A, 13B. Each ticket also has 2 complimentary beverages per person. So if you want a Bloody Mary for breakfast, you can have that. If you want soft drinks, coffee, tea, that's all complimentary. You don't need a ticket for that. But as I said, the outdoor vestibule is kind of nice because you can go out and take pictures when we cross the bridge at Nenana, over the Nenana River. And there's also some partial views of Denali if the weather cooperates for us. So this is just a beautiful trip that we'll have the 4.5 hours from Fairbanks down to Denali. So we'll get into Denali, we'll have lunch, and then go out to the visitor center. And Denali was actually created by President Roosevelt for the preservation of the Dall sheep. And there's a lot of history on that we'll partake in. So then we'll overnight for 2 nights at the Denali cabins. Now, in Denali Village is where all the hotels are. This is about 3 miles outside of the village. But for example, Princess Cruises has a 1,200 room property in the village. That's 2,400 people. That's, again, you're having to wait for 1 hour to 2 hours for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. That's the Disney experience. Here, there's probably 100 people. And it's really a relaxing example of 2 nights. The rooms are very comfortable. Like I say, they're not 5-star hotels, but this is what Alaska is. And just enjoy it for your 2 nights. We'll also have a bonfire where we'll cook s'mores, have some hot chocolate, and we always have some John Jameson to spice up your hot chocolate a little bit. We'll have our dinners will be at the Prairie Restaurant, a breakfast and dinners. That's right in conjunction with the Denali cabins. Then we'll go out to the Denali Park sign, we'll do a group photo there, and then we're going to go into the park. Now, we used to be able to go 92 miles out to Kantishna, and we'd spend 2 nights out here. Unfortunately for us and for most of our clients, the road collapsed here in 2021, in August of 2021. They haven't started construction on the new bridge yet. And this is 2023. So it's probably going to be 2025 before they get that completed. And then we can continue our trips out to Kantishna. But for now, it's a 5.5 hour round trip to this point. But it's the only thing we can do in Denali. So we'll be on one of the park buses that'll take us in. It's definitely not our motor coach, but it's the only way you can get into the park. But we'll cross over Teklanika River. And by the way, this is not a statue. This is actually a grizzly bear chewing on that sign. And I know that's a fact because I took that picture about 5, maybe 6 years ago. Well, time flies. Who knows how long ago it took. But anyway, it's one of the wildlife features you'll see in Denali. You'll also see moose. You'll see caribou. You'll see Dall sheep. You'll see grizzly bears, and hopefully the elusive Toklat wolf, and also there's lynx in there as well. That afternoon, you'll have some free time when we get back. It'll probably be 1 o'clock or so because we'll have lunch, and then you have that afternoon free. You can go downtown to the village, walk around there, or you can do a couple of the optional activities. You can do a 4-wheeler adventure. You could do a river rafting trip down the river. You could do a helicopter flight seeing trip or a zip line trip, whichever you'd like to do. So this is the canyon where the river rafting trip goes. The next morning after breakfast, we're going to depart for around Palma, and we're going to overnight at the Connect River cabins. And this again is the true Alaskan experience. They are first class in every way. The beds are comfortable. They have crewing machines in them, coffee machines. The greatest part of it, and the surprise to me, was that they have 3-ply toilet paper. And that is I have never stayed in a hotel where they had 3-ply toilet paper. They don't, it's not a 5-star hotel, but it's 5-star service. And the dining room, the food is really good there as well. So it overlooks Connect Glacier. They also have a helicopter service here that you can actually fly up on a glacier, get out and walk on the glacier as well. So the next morning after breakfast, we'll head back towards Anchorage, and we're going to stop at the Anchorage Museum. This is an incredible collection of native art. Everything that's Alaskan historical is in that museum. For example, the gold rush days, the early 1900s, a big display on that. Construction of the Alaska Highway, construction of the Alaska Pipeline. You're going to learn all about those. You're going to see the remnants of the Good Friday earthquake of 1964. 5 indigenous native cultures, the Tlinkits, the Haida, all those native first Alaskans will all be on display. Then we're going to have lunch over at Simon and Seaford's, and that overlooks all of Cook Inlet. Just a beautiful view, great food. Then we'll head down from there down to Seward. So we're going to spend 2 nights in Seward at the 360 Hotel. So we're going from Anchorage down the Kenai Peninsula. So we'll leave Anchorage, come across here, and go right down to Seward. That is where Kenai Fjords National Park is, out in Resurrection Bay. So we're going to overnight 2 nights at the 360 Hotel. That looks all out across the harbor. Just a beautiful hotel. We'll have breakfast and then board this vessel, and we're going to go out across about a 7.5-hour cruise, passing glaciers, marine life, humpback whales, orca whales, sea otters, sea lions, and just some of the most beautiful glaciers in Alaska. So this is all in Kenai Fjords National Park. We'll actually go out then to and see how these are called tidewater glaciers, and we'll see how they advance and how they move, etc. They go back to an ice field, which can be anywhere from 40 to 50 miles back. And like I said, the marine life is just incredible that we'll see. Sea otters, harbor seals, humpback whales, orca whales, just great. Then we're going to go over to the Sea Life Center, have a tour of the Sea Life Center in Seward, and then we'll head back up to Anchorage. Our final night will be at the Captain Cook Hotel again. We'll have our farewell dinner up in the top level again, overlooking Cook Inlet and the Chugach Mountains in downtown Anchorage. Then we'll take you out to the airport and view that. Now, the Alaska Dream Cruise, in the book, we had this in conjunction with the national park. We actually canceled that sailing. So this year, the national park, you can do just the national park tour and then do a dream cruise at a different time. But the dream cruise is absolutely incredible. We charter that whole boat, that's 45 passengers, is our people, just John Hall's guests. There may be 10 people from the Grand Slam. There might be people from the well, not the Iditarod for sure, but maybe the Untamed Alaska, etc. But it's really a great experience. So as I said, we charter that entire vessel. And I had done, prior to the first time my son John and I went on that in 2012, I've probably done 50 cruises on Holland America, Princess, Celebrity, Royal Caribbean, etc. I saw more in 7 days on that boat than I did in 350 days on the cruise. So if you're thinking about doing Alaska, the nice thing about that is if you go into on a cruise, you go into Skagway, there can be 4 cruise ships in port, which is 20,000 people walking on the streets. Same thing with Juneau, there can be 6 cruise ships in there. There can be 25,000, 30,000 people walking on the streets. With this, we never have to fight that because every place we go, we're by ourselves. So you really get to enjoy Alaska and see places that the cruise ships can't get into. For example, we spend almost a full day out in Frederick Sound. And Frederick Sound is the most incredible place for whale watching. You will see, this year, I had a group there in July, and we saw 7 bubble feeds, which is really incredible. So that's what you can experience on this. But getting back to the land only, we opened it up. We've opened up that product now because originally Tour 190, the first one, was reserved for land and cruise. But since we're taking the cruise off, we've now opened it up so you can do just the 14-day land. And I know we had a lot of people that were disappointed because they didn't want to put all that money into the land and cruise, but they want to do national park. So we can do that now. So the list price in the book is $14,799 is the list price. We have an early booking discount. So if you book anything before, and this is good for any tour in the book, but there's a $500 early booking discount. So if you book it before January 1st, that $500 will be your discount. If you make your final payment, which is due 90 days prior to departure, if you make that by check, if you pay that balance by check, we will reduce your price another $200. If you pay by credit card, we have to pay the credit card company $200. They get enough of our money the way it is, so we'd rather give it to you and bring your cost down. Then if there's two couples going, there's $50 per person. If there's four couples going together, that goes up to 100. Or if you have a group going, it can drop as much as $200 more. So the actual cost is $14,049. What people don't understand until they get home is there's a big difference between price and total cost. Price is what you see, for example, in yesterday's travel section of your paper, whatever city you're in. You'll see everybody listing their different tours, the Caribbean, Hawaii, Alaska, whatever. And they always list the lowest price. And usually, if just for example, that would be May 15th cruise or May 7th cruise in a category double L cabin. And there's only two of those on board the ship, but it's way up in front and it's an inside cabin. However, that's the list price. And then you have to add your gratuities. You have to add your port charges, taxes, etc. On top of that, anything you do off the ship is additional shore excursions, and they are not inexpensive by any means. So when you get home, let's say it was a 1999 trip that you bought. That was the price. When you got home and you compared everything, your credit card receipts, all of a sudden you paid $5,000 for that trip. That's the difference between price and total cost. With us, you know exactly what the price is before you even go. We call it the value added approach because everything is included. All your attractions and itinerary that we've outlined in your catalog. All your meals, both on land and on the boat, are all included. On the land, you have one adult beverage with dinner. All your corresponding gratuities, from your luggage handling to your gratuities for breakfast, lunch, dinner. We meet you at the airport and transfer it. On the cruise ship, it's $75 a person transfer fee. We know who you are when you come into Alaska. You come down the escalator in Anchorage. We're waiting for you. We know who you are. If it's Kurt and Sharon or Ralph and Cindy, we're going to take you over to the luggage carousel. You just point your luggage out. We probably already pulled it off, but we just want to make sure that all your luggage is there. You never touch it. We take it to your hotel room. Every morning we pick it up, deliver it to your hotel room. You never touch it. All your sales taxes, fees, port charges are included. If you're doing the Dream Cruise, your flight from Anchorage to Juneau, all your catamaran gratuities, also on the Dream Cruise would be all your gratuities. The best part of the jacket or the tour is those custom blue jackets. And you are going to have hundreds of people ask you where you got that jacket. You tell them you paid $5,000 for that jacket, but you got a free trip to Alaska. But these are officially the Alaska colors. When Benny Benson, who was 12 years old from Seward, entered the contest to design the Alaska state flag, he did so in this fashion. The blue is for the blue skies of Alaska. The gold is for the gold in the hills in Alaska. On the right side or the left side of your jacket will be our logo. That is a Tlingit raven. And the Tlingit nation has two head clans, the eagle and the raven. And then they have subclans like the bear and the dolphin and the whale, etc. Those are subclans. And then over on the right side, you have your name embroidered, whatever name you want. If your name is Charles and you go by Charlie or Dutch or whatever it is, we'll embroider that for you. Then the first year you travel with us, you don't get any stars. The second year you get 2 stars. The third year you get 3 stars. And like Kurt and Sharon said, they're going to have 9 stars by the time they're done. So they're loyal clients. He's got as many stars on his jacket as as the state flag does. So on the back of the jacket is the Alaska. This is the Alaska state flag, the Big Dipper and North Star, and then it'll say Alaska 2024, 2025. We have a lot of our guests that actually have every date on the back. So, example, they started going in 2012, then they had 2015, 2017. So they had all those lined up on the back of the jacket. But that's the back of the jacket. You cannot buy these jackets anywhere. They're trademarked and copyrighted by us, and that's what that little R stands for right there. It's registered trademark. So anyway, the only other cost you would have would be airfare. And our office will be happy to assist you in making your flight reservations, no matter where you're flying. You're flying from Denver, or Houston, or Orlando, or Atlanta. We'll make those, help you with it. Shopping, we don't include. Otherwise, I would have been out of business in early 1983. The other only thing we don't include is gratuities for my staff. So in other words, you're going to have a tour manager on the National Park Tour who will be with you for 14 days. The reason I do not include them is I've been in the hospitality business for over 50 years. And I've seen restaurants that had top level 5-star service. And all of a sudden they started adding 18 or 20% gratuity. That 5-star service went from 5 stars to 3 stars or 4 stars because they didn't have to give them the same service because the waiters were making the same, whether they gave lousy service or good service. I guarantee you our staff will give you excellent service. If they don't, call me and they won't be able to perform services any longer. In other words, termination would be in effect. And then, of course, travel insurance is a necessary evil. You're protecting a lot of money. When you take out travel insurance, please never take it out until you make your final payment. Whether it be with a cruise company, with us, or whatever. It's your final payment is due 90 days. Up until that point, everything is 100% refundable. So why take out travel insurance when everything is refundable? Because the premium for travel insurance is non-refundable. So let's say you book a tour tomorrow and you take out travel insurance. In 3 months, you cancel it. You get everything back from us, but your travel insurance premium with the insurance company is non-refundable. You have lost that money. So why take it out? You're not insuring anything. Everything is 100% refundable till 90 days. So when you make your final payment, that's when you take out your travel insurance. And I can't recommend it enough. If let's say at 89 days, you have an accident and let's say you're in an automobile accident and you get injured, you break your leg, and it's going to be a 2-month recovery time or whatever. You file your claim, they return 100% of your payment. If something happens while you're on tour, let's say you develop some illness while you're on tour, that will you fly back home, that will refund 100% of your unused portion. It's probably advisable if something happens that you get checked with a doctor up at wherever you are. If you're in Fairbanks, get checked out, because then they have a record that you actually got sick. If you just fly home, the insurance company will want some record that you actually were sick. But we'll send you all that information as well. So, as I said, this National Park Tour is one of the greatest programs that anybody in the world offers. You are going to see so much of Alaska. When we talked about the size of Alaska, how big it is, you're covering a lot of area. One of the reasons why it's more expensive than most of the other trips is we have 3 charter flights that we have to charter the aircraft. So in other words, you're flying from Glen Ellen into McCarthy. You're flying from Fairbanks up to Utqiagvik or Barrow. You're flying from Anchorage down to Katmai and from Anchorage to Lake Clark. So technically, you've got 4 charter flights, and those are expensive. So anyway, when you go onto our website, kissalaska.com, you can check everything. You go up to Alaska packages, any one of them. If you go up there and then you go to National Parks of Alaska, that'll give you our whole itinerary. If you have questions, you come down here and you click on chat with us, and either Jenny or Deanna or Paige will answer all your questions. There's a couple of other things. World Adventures, that used to be called Alumni Adventures, and that's anybody that traveled to Alaska with us became an alumni, and we offered special trips to alumni, like Australia, New Zealand, Hawaii. We just had a trip that left 2 days ago to South Africa. We've got Ireland, Scotland that we do. So those are all available now to anybody. We had to open it up because so many of our alumni friends had friends that wanted to go with them, friends and neighbors. But unfortunately, they weren't alumni people, so they couldn't take them or couldn't go with them. So now we changed it to World Adventures. So if you have a friend or relative that wants to go with you, you now can do that. Also, your travel insurance information is right up here. You can click on that. Our health and safety protocols are here. Anything you need to know about us is right in here. It's just a lot of information. We spent a lot of time, a lot of money developing that website. It took us about a year to finish it, and it's very informational. So, for example, also while you're on the National Parks of Alaska, these are reviews from all of our past travelers, and hopefully, when you get back, you'll post a review on there as well. So, any questions you have, you can always call our office. Everybody on my staff in my office in Lake City, that's our home office. That's where our reservation center is. That's where our bookkeeping center is. Our operations center is actually up in Anchorage. That's where Elizabeth, my daughter, lives. She's a resident up there. Joseph is up there usually from the end of May until September. But our 800 number goes into our reservation center in Minnesota. So, like I say, you can call that and they'll answer any questions you may have. So, Paige, if you want to open it up, if there's any questions in the chat room, let's see what, now that I've confused everybody, let's see if we can try to make it more comfortable for them.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start unmuting everybody. We did have a question, actually 2 questions, Senior, in the registration. So I'll ask you those while I'm unmuting. So this gal says, I have celiac. Is it possible to provide gluten-free meals?
Oh, absolutely. 15 years ago, nobody knew what gluten-free was. I'll bet you we have probably 20% of our clientele that has either gluten-free or lactose intolerance or allergic to shellfish. Those are some questions we will ask you. Number one, what size jacket you wear? Number 2, do you have any health concerns? If you have, let's say you have a CPAP machine, or you have refrigerated insulin you need. If you have any special diets, we'll make a note of that. And then Catherine, our operations manager, contacts every hotel, every restaurant, every day, and lets them know Mr. and Mrs. Smith have an allergy to seafood, so they know in advance what that is. So there's no request that we can't do. There's we have a saying at our company, we can't is not acceptable. And we used to have buttons made with we can't with a big red circle with the line going through it. And we still do that today. But that's a great question. Also, if you have any walking issues, there's a few hotels that don't have elevators, so we'll make sure we get you on the ground floor on that. So those are questions we'll ask you during the booking process. And then we will also call you about a week before you leave to double check, see if you have any final last minute questions, or if anything has changed. You know, we've had instances where people show up at the airport in a wheelchair and we didn't know anything about it, but they had an accident or something. And now, you know, we've got them up on the third floor somewhere and they're in a wheelchair. So we have to make those adjustments after the first day. But we can do that, but it's better to know that in advance. But that's why we call a week in advance.
So we have some other questions coming in, but I'll ask this last one here that came through on on the registration for the Zoom. How do you suggest dressing and packing for all the different places that you visit on the National Parks Tour?
Well, you're gonna have a variety of temperatures. When you're out by the glaciers, it's going to be cooler. But the answer simply is to dress in layers. For example, you're going to get that blue jacket that'll keep the wind out. But I suggest like having a nice hooded sweatshirt. If you don't have a sweatshirt, there's 3,221 shops in Anchorage where you can purchase one. But you know, blue jeans are comfortable. Walking shoes, do it comfortable. You don't need hiking boots unless you're going to go hiking. But whatever makes you comfortable, that you're not going to freeze to death. But a nice pair of knit gloves, like when you're on the glacier outside, you really want to be outside. You can see glaciers from inside the boat, but you're not getting the 360-degree dimension. So be outside, have a little pair of those fold-up gloves that you can stick in your pocket. I'd advise that. And then with a hooded sweatshirt, and those blue jackets also have a hood on them that roll up under the collar, so that'll keep the wind out. But we'll send you a packing list as well as suggested clothing when you get your final box from us. So that'll have your itineraries, your hotel list, the phone numbers, your passenger list, who you're traveling with in the city they're from, and then packing list as well.
All right, and we got some questions in the chat, Senior. First one is there a limit for luggage?
Yes. And that has to do with, that's on the last page of the catalog. I think it's, is it 50 pounds? Whatever the airlines say it is. So you have that and a carry-on. Also, every hotel has laundry facilities. So you don't have to take 14 days of socks and underwear. You can actually wash them. Every hotel has laundry facilities. I can say that now that we don't stay at the Backcountry Lodge, because out in Denali, there weren't any. You had to go down and wash your socks on the rocks.
All right, so next question, has weather conditions ever changed the itinerary? If so, do you have any examples?
Yeah, we had, well, let's say, for example, Katmai National Park, was actually weather conditions that pilots couldn't get in. So we had to alternate that. So we refunded that portion of the trip to them and gave them the option if they wanted to stay over an extra day to go back at the end of the trip. We also had some provisions. I think we did them this year where people could come back, and we booked a trip for them to Katmai. That was the only one I think that we didn't. I take it back. Last year, 2 years ago, we had one trip that couldn't get into Barrow, but we went up to Bettles instead. So they got over the Arctic Circle. But Barrow was, it was really a bad storm up there. They couldn't fly in. Those are the only two instances I can think of in all the years we've been operating at. But I always tell people, if the pilot doesn't want to fly, you don't want to ride.
Hey, John, can I jump in?
Sure, absolutely, Kurt.
You said at the beginning of this that you had unlinked the Dream Cruise from this tour.
Yes, we did.
I really wanted to do both. Is that still possible?
Let me get back to you on that. We may, it wouldn't be with a group, but we can get you on that boat.
I'll think about it.
Okay, I guess I was really looking forward to doing the 14 days and then the 7 days of relaxing on the boat.
Well, we can still do that. The point that the reason we dropped it was nobody has signed up for it.
I did. Sharon and I did.
When?
Well, I told, as soon as the numbers came out, probably 2 months ago.
Oh, you must be the only one on it.
I probably am.
I have to, let me get back to you, Kurt. I've got your phone number and I'll give you a call a little later.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an issue, but if we can't do the combination, I may rethink it because, we've done the national parks before. We just wanted to do it again with the boat. But if we have to, we may do the Grand Slam again and tie it to the boat. The thing is, I really wanted to do the boat again. We've done that twice. I need to see the orcas.
I know that Dream Cruise is so incredible.
Oh,
Well, anyways, I'd like to do it with the National Parks Tour, but you guys take a look at it and just let me know. I mean, we want to do something next summer that includes the Dream Cruise.
I want to
Okay.
jump overboard.
Oh, you want to do the polar plunge?
Yeah, well, yeah, Sharon's done it twice. She got a certificate the second time, but she got a tequila shot the first time.
That was nice.
And we have to see Trailbreaker a Kennel. I mean, we sponsored one of their dogs 2 years in a row now.
And I love him.
And one of the reasons we're going back to the Iditarod is so Sharon can hook him up so he can tow us down that river one more time. He's already done it
perfect.
once.
Well, Tekla's going to hopefully run the Iditarod next year.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I can make it another year or not.
I can. I'll miss you.
Well, I know our coats are in Minnesota right now. I told Jenny to put them on a bus back to Anchorage.
Oh, they're in Minnesota? I thought they were in Anchorage.
I did too. And when I talked to her last time, she said she actually found them in the office up there.
Wow.
Anyway, just let me know what you can do. I don't want to be a pain, but but I am.
No, you're not. Never.
And I'm easy, so it doesn't matter.
I'll get back to you this afternoon, Kurt.
That's fine. I appreciate it, John.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, John.
What else you got, Paige?
That's all I got for now. If anybody else has got any questions, feel free to type it in the chat or unmute yourself.
Well, you guys are easy.
Except for me.
All right, I think that's all we got.
Well, I appreciate spending your morning with me. Afternoon in Florida now, but I know in the Midwest it's still morning and cold.
Yes.
So how much snow are you supposed to get tonight?
Well, they say 2 to 3 inches, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, that's just the dusting.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Still not ready for it yet, though.
Kurt, did you have fog this morning?
No, not that I noticed.
Really?
I didn't go anywhere.
Well, I didn't either, but I'm looking across the third green on the golf course here that was so
Yeah, they
foggy
said
this
there
morning.
was. They said there was.
Yeah, Sharon said she heard that there was. I just went out and got my paper off the driveway and I didn't see any in here. Okay, well, I'm
well,
gonna make lunch.
I'll get back to you this afternoon.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be this afternoon. We've got some time. We've now got everything pretty much set up for the Iditarod. So, you know, we're going to do something this summer. We're just not sure what now.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, talk to you later.
Okay,
Bye.